The first scream lasted less than a second, but the fear behind it echoed through the apartment like a memory that had been waiting years to escape. Before I could even stand from the old couch, my new roommate came running down the hallway with tears already filling her eyes. She didn't stop to explain. She didn't ask permission. She simply wrapped both of her arms around me as though she had reached the only place in the world where she finally believed she was safe. In that unexpected moment, neither of us realized that a simple strange noise inside an old apartment in Portland, Oregon, would become the beginning of a friendship that would quietly change two broken lives forever. If you believe kindness still matters, if you believe hope can find people in their darkest moments, and if you believe forgiveness, compassion, and second chances can truly change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a thoughtful comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue sharing stories that remind us of the good still left in this world. My name is Nathan, and just a few months before meeting my new roommate, I had convinced myself that living alone was easier than trusting people again. After losing both my parents within 3 years and watching my engagement fall apart under the weight of grief neither of us knew how to carry, I moved into a modest apartment near the edge of the city. Money was tight, and eventually I realized I could no longer afford the rent by myself. Posting an advertisement for a roommate felt less like an opportunity and more like admitting life had become harder than I wanted anyone to know. Several applicants came and went, but one afternoon a quiet woman named Grace arrived carrying nothing more than 2 suitcases, a worn Bible, and an uncertain smile. She explained that she had accepted a nursing position at a nearby hospital after caring for her elderly grandmother for years in rural Idaho. She spoke politely, paid her share of the deposit without hesitation, and thanked me repeatedly for giving her a chance. There was a sadness behind her eyes that reminded me of my own reflection in the mirror each morning, but neither of us asked questions. Some people recognize pain without needing to hear its story. The first week passed peacefully. We respected each other's space, exchanged small conversations over coffee, and slowly settled into an easy routine. Grace loved baking on Sunday afternoons, filling the apartment with the smell of cinnamon and fresh bread that somehow made the place feel less lonely. I repaired small things around the apartment, and together we quietly transformed 4 plain walls into something that almost resembled a home. Then came the storm. Heavy rain pounded the windows late one evening while thunder rolled across the Oregon sky. The building itself seemed to groan beneath the wind. I was reading in the living room when I heard a loud scraping sound from somewhere inside the walls, followed by what sounded like another sudden thump above the ceiling. Before I could investigate, Grace came racing toward me, pale with fear. Without thinking, she held onto me tightly, trembling as though she had been transported back into a memory she desperately wanted to escape. Only after several long moments did her breathing begin to slow. She quietly admitted that years earlier, while caring for her grandmother during a powerful storm, an old section of their farmhouse ceiling had collapsed in the middle of the night. No one was seriously hurt, but ever since then, unexpected noises during storms filled her with overwhelming panic. She had always hidden that fear from everyone because she worried people would think she was weak. Listening to her, I realized how often people carry invisible burdens behind ordinary smiles. We assume strength means never being afraid, yet sometimes true courage is simply allowing another person to witness our fear without pretending everything is fine. I grabbed a flashlight, checked the apartment carefully, and eventually discovered that the mysterious sound had come from an old heating vent whose loose metal cover kept shifting whenever strong wind forced air through the building. After tightening a few screws and securing the vent, the strange noise disappeared completely. The danger had never been real, but the fear certainly had been. From that night forward, something changed between us. Grace no longer felt like a stranger renting a room. We became genuine friends who understood that healing rarely happens through dramatic speeches or perfect solutions. More often, it begins with someone choosing to stay beside you when your worst memories suddenly return. As autumn turned into winter, our apartment slowly became a place where laughter replaced silence. Grace volunteered at community food drives on weekends, and I joined her, discovering that helping others somehow helped us both heal from losses we had spent years carrying alone. We celebrated Thanksgiving by inviting 2 elderly neighbors who had no nearby family. Christmas was simple, filled with homemade decorations, shared meals, and gratitude that neither of us expected to find when we first signed a roommate agreement. One snowy evening several months later, Grace admitted that the night she had run into my arms had embarrassed her for weeks. She believed she had ruined my opinion of her forever. The truth was exactly the opposite. That moment reminded me that everyone needs someone who offers safety instead of judgment. Her vulnerability had quietly encouraged me to stop hiding my own grief as well. Before this story comes to an end, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and tell us about someone whose kindness helped you through a difficult season, or share how you have been that source of comfort for someone else. Your words may become the encouragement another viewer desperately needs today. Years later, when people asked how Grace and I became lifelong friends, they usually expected some remarkable adventure. Instead, the answer always surprised them. Our friendship began because of an ordinary noise inside an aging apartment and a frightened woman who discovered that reaching out for comfort wasn't a sign of weakness after all. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't arrive with applause or headlines. Sometimes they begin with a simple embrace that quietly tells another human being, you don't have to face this alone. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of the power of compassion, or encouraged you to believe that healing often starts with one small act of kindness, please support the video with a like, share it with someone who could use a little hope today, subscribe for more heartfelt stories, and let your thoughts be heard in the comments. You never know whose heart your encouragement might help mend.